Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the ToyBoyz podcast. My name is Chad, and I'm here with Avery, Eric, and Jared. ToyBoyz, let's assemble. So what's going on, guys? There's a lot of stuff happening in the world of toys, as we all know. In our kind of like our little private chat, we've been bouncing back and forth about a lot of great things. Avery, in terms of like new releases and stuff coming out, what are you most excited about?
Well, it's two things. One, I'll say the Sabretooth. I wasn't even tracking that. The 1/6 Sabretooth by Mondo. I have the Wolverine, the Magneto, the Jubilee, and the Gambit.
Yeah.
I was not even expecting Sabretooth. Usually they kind of hint at something. I just happened to check my email a couple of days ago, and they're like, coming out today on the drop, Sabretooth. And I'm like, oh, man, I had just watched the episode where he and Wolverine fought in the Arctic. So I was like, well, gotta add it to the collection.
Avery is in Qatar for everybody watching right now, so there's a little bit of a slight delay, I think, with the recording. So just a heads up, Avery is actually in Qatar right now, not in Kuwait. So he's live from his hotel room.
Yes,
so,
you can actually see me for once.
Yeah, we can actually see Avery for once. We don't just have to put like a big picture of his beautiful face. We actually get to see it this time, so it's amazing. So that episode of the X-Men, the animated series from the 90s that you're talking about, that's the very first episode of that show I ever watched. A guy I was in 4th grade with brought a VHS over that he recorded of it, and he showed it to me, and it blew my mind. Like, it changed my life from that day on. I had never seen like anything like that. So I'm a big fan of Sabretooth and a big fan of Wolverine. It's funny because they're so similar yet so different. I think that's what's interesting about those two characters for me. That Mondo, that's 1/6 scale, right? Like that's like legit, like that's a beefy boy.
Yeah, 1/6.
And if you know anything about Mondo, they make some really great stuff. Yeah. So I think we were talking about this earlier, Avery. Didn't they also made the Wolverine, the 1/6 Wolverine where he's laying down in bed, like the meme where he's looking at Jean Grey, the picture of Jean Grey and
Yes,
Cyclops?
they actually made it with, I think that it comes like a little bed. You can pose them, and it even comes with a picture. But it has some other accessories too. But you could, I remember when they were advertising for it last year, they're like, you can recreate the scene.
Yeah, man. They're so good. They're so like, just as a huge fan of that series in the 90s, I know exactly what you mean. Eric, what about you, man? What's coming out that's new that you're really looking forward to?
Well, I believe tomorrow Hasbro is going to announce their next big HasLab for G.I. Joe. The one that's kind of in flight that ended, I don't know, 6 months ago was for the Hiss tank, G.I. Joe classified scale, 6-inch. That was like $350. It's going to be this massive thing. It's going to have lights and, gizmos and things that work on it. So I'm pretty excited for that. Hopefully it's better than the Sky Striker, which I kind of went into detail last time. Didn't work out so well. Had a lot of quality control issues. So fingers crossed. But yeah, they're going to be revealing another one, and there's a lot of rumors going around online about it right now. People trying to look for clues and previous announcements, and they think it might be a Dragonfly helicopter, which would be pretty big.
That sounds pretty amazing. Yeah.
I mean, the regular Dragonfly toy I think is about a foot long, maybe. So
oh wow,
this would be 2 feet or bigger. But there's, based on what people have been posting, the clues do seem to be adding up that that's what it's going to be. And it is kind of in that sweet spot of, yeah, it's too big to be a retail release, but it's not so big that it's really a pipe dream. Some people are saying, I want a 6-inch scale USS Flag aircraft carrier. Well, that would be 100 feet long, You couldn't get through the front door. So, I mean, that would be like $10,000. So, I mean, that's never going to happen. But something like, the mid-sized vehicles like these, like a tank or 1 or 2 man seating helicopter, that would work. So, yeah, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And as we all know, Eric prefers 6 inches. We've heard it here live on the show. So by the time this episode drops, we'll already know what that's going to be, like what that Well, that do you? So you're thinking Dragonfly? Anything else that you got like a wish list or anything else you might be speculating what it could possibly be yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's things that I'm thinking it could be, but I don't necessarily want. Like there was a small Joe vehicle called the Awe Striker. It looked kind of like a green dune buggy, had a kind of a roll cage on the top and a gun that pivoted. It's two figures could sit in it. It's about the right size that yeah, it could be a HasLab. Maybe it'd be like a $200 one. Um, but everybody's kind of sick of that vehicle because I guess it was one of the molds from the old days that survived and didn't break, even though they've released it like 100 times in like 10 different colors over the years. So
Yeah,
other than a wish list, I mean, again, it's just trying to be realistic because while I would love like a 6-inch scale Sky Striker jet, where am I going to put it? Where am I going to display it? It would be 8 feet long or something. I don't know. I'm not so good with measurements, but I mean, it would be so big that it would just be like, like when I bought the HasLab Razor Crest, from The Mandalorian.
yeah.
It's still in the box, even though I bought it like 2 years ago. And
Mhm.
my friends are like, "You got to open that bad boy up. You got to get it on display." And I'm like, "Yo, where?" It's like 3.5 feet long, and I only have so many spaces for things of that size. Like I have the leg of Star Destroyer, well, I guess I could take that down, disassemble it, put the Razor Crest in its place. But um, yeah, that's probably a larger topic for another time. Like, what do you do when you run out of space? Do you start
I
rotating
mean,
things?
maybe we'll talk about it today because it seems like a really good topic to hit on. Is what do you do when you run out of space? Um, no, man, that's really cool. I hope it ends up being that the Dragonfly. That'd be pretty tight. Um, Jared, what about you, sir? Anything out there in the world that you're interested in? Anything that's popping up? Anything we've been talking about that tickles your fancy, sir?
Yeah. So, for whatever reason, I did not realize that Star Trek Picard had XO6 figures coming out.
Yep.
Um, it looks like it's just the three of them. I would hope for more, but yeah, I mean, anytime they increase the amount of those figures that come out, I mean, they look great.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know what Jared is talking about, Picard season 3 just recently wrapped up. Hugely popular season. A lot of people are calling it like the best season of Star Trek since, um, since the Next Generation went off the air, since DS9 went off the air, whatever. Like, and I mean, a lot of folks agree it was a fantastic, 10 episodes of Star Trek right there. The three characters that XO6 released that they're going to be, just kind of teased essentially that they're going to be releasing are Picard from that season and Worf, who looks fantastic, and Jared. I need a reminder of her name.
Oh,
The villain,
it
like the
escapes
main
me right
villain.
now, though.
This is the worst. Aaron, type it in the chat. I know Aaron remembers. Aaron, say Vatic.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Vatic. So those three characters have been kind of announced from XO6. But yeah, so like they've kind of teased those. Those are gonna be the three that are coming out, and we might get more. The owner of the company, I'm actually not even sure how you pronounce his name, but he's very if he wants to make it, he'll make it. You know what I mean? Like if it's something he wants, it'll be out there. So those three are coming out, and really looking forward to those. You're right; those look really, really good, especially that Worf. Just something about
Yeah.
like old man Worf, just like all grayed up. I really feel like, and I mean, I know this isn't like a Star Trek podcast, but that's how we all came together originally with Star Trek. I really feel like that season 3 of Picard Worf was like the best Worf we ever got. I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about it in the pool today, of all places to think about. I was just thinking about, man, that really was like the best Worf we ever got. I also kind of feel like it was the best Geordi, the best Crusher too. Best Riker will always be Lower Decks to me. Lower Decks Riker is the best Riker, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, 100% agree. XO6, those Picard figures, and I mean anything from XO6 basically. I'm actually got something I'm going to show off today from them before we sign off for our little show and tell at the end. But yeah, really looking forward to that. So going through a couple of other toy announcements. If Chris were here, if Chris had woken up on time and joined us like he was supposed to, I think we probably would be talking about NECA right now. Avery, I think you might have seen this. I don't think you're interested in it, but like those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 3, the San Diego Comic Con exclusive 4-pack that they have announced that's coming out that a lot of people are really excited about, which is funny because people tend to hate that movie. A lot of people think that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is the worst of those 3 movies. I agree with that, but also something about that inner nostalgia that these hit. And I really am kind of looking forward. I'm hoping they come all full decked out, like the samurai gear that we see him in that movie. What do you think, Avery? Is that a 4-pack you're going to get, or are you going to think about it, or is it going to be one of those things where you say no and then they come out and you're like, I regret not getting this? What do you think?
I hate that you know me too well, but I guess because we're all intrinsic toy collectors, we know our proclivities. I've never seen Turtles 3.
Yeah.
I've had negative reactions to it. Like I see it, I'm like, really? Like you could just tell. But I did buy the comic book. I own the comic book adaptation to it that Archie did back in the day. So with that being said, I'm probably going to get it. All right, when I saw it, I was like, well, I knew last year when they brought out the Turtles 2-1, I'm like, they're probably going to do Turtles 3. And knowing me, I'll probably get it. So to answer your question, the completionist in me, yes, I will probably get it just because. So I'm not.
That makes sense. I'll probably end up doing what I did last. Yeah.
The thing I was going to say is I hope I can get the 4-pack in one box like they do for San Diego, and when they do it off of the website for NECA. I hope I don't have any issues since I have to use a VPN to buy my stuff since I'm overseas. But because the first year they did it with the first Turtles movie, I didn't get the 4-pack. It took me 3 years to get the Turtles. I had to get 2 separate 2-packs when they finally released them in Walmart.
Well, so I'm kind of with you right there on that. I'm definitely going to get that 4-pack of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. And what I'll probably do is what I did last year when I got the 4-pack of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. And then I also got 2 packs like separately so I could keep the 4-pack in a box and then have the 2 packs opened up, because the 4-packs, those will quickly like gain in value. So, I mean, those are like really good for display. And then those 2 packs are really good for opening for that. And I kind of have a feeling that's how the San Diego Comic Con thing's going to work. You'll be able to buy one online, and then you'll probably be some 2 packs released shortly after. Those are Walmart exclusive, so you'll be able to pick those up in Walmart. And I know Chris is going to be all about them because I know he's a fan of that. When it comes to NECA Turtles in general, I was collecting the Toon line, and that's probably was kind of like one of my gateway drugs into getting back into toy collecting as an adult a couple of years ago. I was collecting the Toon, and I was like, I'm just going to stick with the Toon line. I don't want the movie. And then I went to Walmart one day, and I saw a 2-pack with Splinter and Shredder, and I was like, I guess I'm doing this too. I guess I'm doing movies now. So I picked that up, and then I picked the Turtles up from a guy in a Facebook group the next day. And then I won Talk on Rosar from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 on a waffle, like in a raffle online. And then, so, I mean, that's just how it is, man. Just drugs, man. That's what toys are. Like
the
little
gateway
plastic
toy.
drugs. Yeah, a little that that really get your that really just kind of get your brain going. So really looking forward to that. I know that also I believe San Diego Comic Con is Kino from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. The pizza delivery driver is going to be released with his scooter, so that's pretty cool. So that like you can like ride him around. Yeah, he was a big part of that movie. He's actually, I think he was one of the guys in the turtle suits, like one of the stunt guys in the first movie.
That's right.
And then,
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's cool that he they made him a character in the second movie, so it's pretty tight. So it'd be great to get that 2-pack. They're releasing it like it's actually coming in like a pizza box with some other kind of items from the movie, so that's pretty cool.
Is that going to be like just readily available at retail, or is that a Walmart exclusive too?
So that's also going to be a San Diego Comic Con exclusive. The whole pizza box package, though, I have a feeling that they'll release Kino with a scooter to Walmart as well eventually, just him in the with the scooter. But that whole pizza with all the extras, I think that's going to be a San Diego Comic Con exclusive. And thankfully, NECA usually releases those on their website like that weekend going into Comic Con, so you can order them yourself, and they'll come a few weeks afterwards after Comic Con and everything is wrapped up. So if you're not able to make the event, you can usually go to like NECA store online, and you can purchase them there. Um, it's tough. Like you have to like I'll set an alarm and for like 10 minutes before, and I just sit there and wait and make sure that I get them because they'll sell out within minutes. Between scalpers and other collectors and bots, they'll go quick, man. They'll go super quick. Um, Looking here at the list we kind of threw together, I'm looking at Super 7, the Star Trek Wave 2. Eric, I think, did you get some of these, the Wave 2 figures that they released? I think it was it Picard and Data, and they kind of threw back Guinan back in there for some reason?
I pre-ordered the first wave of 4 figures, and then I was starting to read some things online about people saying, "Well, I don't usually pre-order Super 7 Ultimates until I can see the face sculpts for
Mm,
real instead of digital renders," because they said a lot of times the digital render looks way better than the final product.
Mm.
I see. I got you.
So that gave me pause. I almost canceled all my pre-orders on that first wave, but I thought, oh, I'll ride those out, but I will hold off on. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating or annoying to me as a collector when we have pre-orders for a second wave when the first wave isn't even
Mm.
out yet.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I,
no, I agree.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have way too many open pre-orders already, and it is very difficult to track. I have my own spreadsheet, a system, of when I ordered it, where I ordered it from, how much I paid for it. So if like some other place pops up and orders offers it for less, then I can check and be like, oh, yep, that's cheaper. I'll cancel this one. I'll reorder it over here. So I'm holding off on Wave 2, I think, just until I can see what Wave 1 is like.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Aaron. I'm laughing at our producer. She's the boss, and she's making me laugh right now. Um, Eric, I 100% agree, man. And Avery, you're probably guilty of this too. Maybe Chris as well. Now that Chris has joined us, welcome to the waking world, Chris. So we're talking about pre-orders right now. We're talking about the Super 7 pre-order specifically. Eric mentioned something that is a topic worthy of discussion, and it's having so many pre-orders out there that it's hard to keep track of. And Eric, you do the same thing I do. I have a pretty detailed spreadsheet on what I have in my collection. I kind of call it my database, and then what I have like on pre-order, because if you don't like, you could pre-order something and wait a year or 2 years, and I feel like sometimes people have waited probably 3 years for stuff. So like it can you can forget, you know what I mean? It's not
I
that
bought the same item twice, like more than
yeah,
once.
yeah,
It's
that's one thing one thing you're worried about. So I ordered that wave one. I ordered wave two, but the thing that kind of disappointed me about Super 7 wave two, I'm pretty sure wave one is Locutus, Riker, maybe that was Data and Guinan, right? And I remember thinking, like, man, this Riker's cool. He's got a trombone. Data's cool. He's got Spot and a violin. Like, Guinan comes with a rifle. Locutus is just cool in general. This is a good wave. Then wave two came out. Picard, good figure. Worf, good figure. And then they put Guinan back on there. And it was like in a second chance to get Guinan. So, like, the second wave is really just two figures. It's just Picard and Worf. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to call it a wave. It's like more like a drop. You know what I mean? Like a little tiny little splash. Um,
Yeah, when the second wave is basically half the size of the first wave, you wonder if it's going to be like the McFarlane syndrome, where you get 1 or 2 waves of something and then the thing just dies off, and you're like, crap, I wanted like the full set of a crew or cast members of a show or whatever, but you just kind of gave up just as it was going. That's really
I
frustrating as well.
I agree. That's a because you would think that if it was like a healthy line, then like we would have got a full wave of 3 or 4 figures, or something. Or if this was just something they had in the pipeline ready to go. So they just pump these 2 out, and then will we ever see more from them? That's a good question. That's a really good question. Chris, what's going on with you, sir?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. It's like when you're waiting for your favorite band to drop a new album and they drop like a single or an EP, you know?
Yep.
Because the execs are just like, just get something out there already, all right?
Yeah. I know we're a lot of big Taylor Swift fans here, so we really appreciate all the music. So, yeah. So, Chris, we were just talking about the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. We were talking about the Turtle 4-pack, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 3, and the Kino and the Scooter. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I'm still waiting for. I mean, I think other companies are still going to drop other exclusives I haven't seen yet. The only one I'm really interested in so far is the Kino. But I mean, even that, I'm not gonna die if I don't get it. You know, like I have a feeling they'll probably repackage him some other time, or there'll be another chance to get him besides the with the motorcycle. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I have a feeling that
Did that with John Connor, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
There too. It felt like, this is the only way to get him. And then like a year later, he was in a 2-pack with Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, though, is it Sideshow Collectibles that announced that they're not going to be there this year, right? Am I hearing that right? What do you think, Chris? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's, like kind of lame. I think it sucks for like the attendees. I know Sideshow is like one of the biggest, draws, especially in the collecting world, with people who collect statues and like myself who collect Hot Toys and 1/6 scale figures. That's like the highlight of the show. It's in the center of the whole place, so everything kind of revolves around that, and it's always busy. It's always a big deal, and like I'm going this year, like all the days, and I'm kind of like, okay, well, that's that sucks, because that was what I was looking forward to most, was seeing all the stuff, all the drops.
They're not selling enough of the life-size Han Solo and Carbonite that costs like $10,000.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, a lot of the stuff too that like is their biggest sellers are like stuff that's not even their product, like Hot Toys. They're selling other people's stuff, and they're the ones who deal with all the mess. Like they're the ones that have the really good customer service. So when something messes up or something's broken, they have the best customer service out there. And I think some people also take advantage of that, so it's like that's constant costing them money when they have to deal with constant, little problems about that.
It could be also a trend, like this happens, in the tech industry and the gaming community, that the trend seems to be moving away from these big events like E3, for instance, didn't happen. And, companies like Nintendo and Sony, they're pulling out of those because they're having their own online events. And I just Googled it really quick, and I found that Sideshow is basically saying we're going to have our own convention, like a 5 days of virtual experience.
So when you say they're going to host their own like online convention, is that during San Diego Comic-Con? It's going to be kind of like alternate programming during the convention? Is it the same dates, or is it something they're doing separately?
July 18th to the 21st. I don't know if that overlaps or not.
That's during Comic-Con, so they're going to do it like a virtual con, which is like okay, what about all the people who are at Comic-Con? Like,
that was my question.
Exactly.
And why?
They got to bust out their phones and
all
buy the
those
stuff
people.
they want. Yeah.
So everyone at home except them.
Yeah, but I mean, on the inverse of that, it used to be everybody at San Diego Comic-Con, and then the rest of the world was shut out. So, I mean, I don't know if one is better than the other. Like, I feel like
what they should
should
do is have like a small booth. A really small booth, maybe a few things right there, and a big screen TV where they could be doing a live feed, like when your favorite team does an away, sporting event and everyone can watch it on the big screen at least, and people are there.
That's not the worst idea. And honestly, Chris, I think you were telling me, didn't Exo 6 used to, didn't they, weren't they at an SCME or San Diego Comic Con one year and they had a booth set up and they had figures that you could order and they would ship them to you? Like if Sideshow kind of maybe had the same deal, like you can't walk away with it, but if you order it here, we'll ship it to you as soon as it's in stock, or we'll ship it next week because it's already.
Yeah, you were
stock.
able to just order it off your phone, like, but they were doing the drops like during the convention and stuff. But I mean,
Really?
yeah, I mean, dude, they could have even had a panel. You know, they could have had a panel there, and then people would have filled that panel up, and they could have done some announcements there. Just like how they do with TV shows and stuff. They could have done like, okay, you guys are gonna know about this first. Create a hype or something.
Anyway, so Chris, earlier we talked about new releases that we're excited about. Is there anything coming up that you're really looking forward to? I know that you've been sharing that Brave Star with us. Anything else that you want to talk more about Brave Star?
Yeah, I'm excited for that Brave Star figure. It's supposed to in July. The pre-order is going to be. It's by a company called Ramen Toy, and which I had never heard of before. I don't know what their deal is, but the figure looks awesome, man. It looks amazing. It's got like a bunch of accessories. It's really cool, so I'm excited for that. And then there's a couple Hot Toys. Well, there's a bunch of Hot Toys figures I'm looking forward to, but I never know when they're gonna drop some of those, and some of them are like probably won't be out for like at least a year. So
I think the Batman, the Hot Toys Batman is one that we talked about, right? That 1/6 scale Batman. The Michael Keaton looks fantastic. I'll try and Aaron, I'll try and pull a picture of that and send it to you so you don't have to go scramble and try and find a photo of that for yourself. But yeah, man, it looks good. And I think another just kind of random toy line that all of a sudden was just on our radar was that Earthworm Jim toy line. Like, who even is making that? Like, who? I think, Chris, were you the one who stumbled upon that? Do you remember who's making those?
Not off the top of my head, but I think it's the same company that is also doing like the Mad Balls, and I think they're also doing Barnyard Commandos and stuff.
Yeah, that I think Nacelle has partnered with for Mad Balls and some things like that. I've seen those at toy shows, and they're like, it's not something I'm into. It's not something I would ever collect, but it's really cool to see. Like Barnyard Commandos, like who would have ever thought that anybody would ever be bringing those back? 30 years later, what an obscure, just random toy line. One thing that Eric had mentioned earlier that I think is worthy of discussion for sure is space, the final frontier, but also where do you find space to store your stuff? Chris, you have a huge display behind you there. You've got all kinds of figures, and you have 1/6 and all kind of everything back there. How do you make it work out? How do you find the space? What do you do?
Well, right now everything's kind of like overlapping, and like it's not very practical. I actually want to get another huge display case in here, but I gotta make some room. I gotta get rid of some stuff. So, like, I have a futon in here that I use, and I need to. I want to get rid of that. I want to, make room for another big, huge display case. So, because I don't know, I just prefer to have them in the display case. They look better. It doesn't collect dust as much, and especially when you have like really cool lighting, it really like showcases the figures. As opposed to having them on some shelf. Like right now, recently I started collecting Marvel Legends, and I've been super addicted to them. I just have them on like a bookshelf, and so
I've got I was telling Avery about this before we started recording. I've got some Legends on the way, some Marvel Legends right now from Big Bad Toy Store. I've got Banshees on the way, and maybe it was Storm. There's a few that I pre-ordered that are on the way right now, so I'm really looking forward to those. Oh yeah, but we were all talking about the 3-packs too, right? With Banshee and and Forge and stuff like that. Those something about those '90s X-Men cartoon figures really get me activated. Avery, what about you? What do you? I know you got a lot of stuff, and you've got a lot of stuff in box that I think I've seen in the past when we've done some video calls. What do you do in terms of like finding the space for it and the storage? How do you make it work out?
Well, I really can't do nothing now because most of my stuff is in storage as we speak. So, but when I had my apartment, I was taking stuff and putting it on that ledge that I had, and I would switch some stuff. I switched out some stuff I didn't. But my plan is I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna unbox some of my stuff because I like keeping my stuff in the box, but the box takes up space. So if I were to unbox it, I'd have to invest in the cases. Like I have a big brother from college. He just bought a brand new house and he finally is going to be able to have a man cave. And he sent me some pictures the other day and he has like his cases lining, going to have them lined up against the wall. And then he had showed me a picture. Someone posted this big case room where they're Transformer action figures. And this person had a figure per row. Now, that's too much space not being utilized, but my friend was thinking of something similar along the lines of just having his cases side by side in his man cave that he now has. But I would do like a theme, maybe like switch out themes since I have so much, because I probably own like 80% of the Predators that have come out from NECA for the most part. So I could do like a theme.
Very cool. Jared, what about you, man? What do you? I don't think you have too much on display right now, but how do you kind of make it work out in terms of whatever you need for space?
Yeah, I have very limited space. I have basically a bookshelf in my office that has books on it, surprisingly, and then intermixed with those or in front of the books are just things that I've gotten over the years, and they overlap each other, and other than that, I mean, most of it's buried in the garage in boxes. That's difficult to get to. I just keep making room. I'm surprised I'm able to fit as much as I do on there, but I might have to start getting rid of some books for a better toy displaying.
So Aaron, Jared's wife chimes in that Jared threatens to put things on the mantle in the living room, and I guess that's an off-limit space. But I feel like one day we're just going to be talking to Jared, and there's going to be like some Exo Squad.
You just gotta buy some Christmas themed toys, and then you can bust them out and put them on the mantle, and say they're decorations.
There we go.
True. Eric, what about you, man? You got this whole room behind you. You got stuff on the floor. You got stuff on the shelves. Like, what's the method behind the madness? How do you kind of handle all the chaos?
Well, in the old house, I had the room above the garage, which was like 20 by 12 feet. And these IKEA shelves, the wooden ones, well, this side, those Ivar IKEA shelves, they were just cheap, they had a big footprint so you could put larger things on them, like a big, vehicle if you needed to, not just figures. So I kind of went down that route and bought like 5 or 6 of those. And most of what I had on display was the vintage G.I. Joe, and that pretty much my entire collection fit on those shelves. But then we moved to this new house 6 years ago, and we finished the 3rd floor completely. And I was thinking I was going to be getting more space, but actually over half of that space is for like the couch and a TV, like home theater kind of thing. So I look at it sometimes, I'm like, if I got rid of this love seat, I could have another display cabinet, But, you do want some functionality in these rooms too. So it is this like constant struggle. I recently, there was a corner of that, more of the home theater room that was just piles and piles of unopened toys, almost up to the ceiling, like ridiculous. And I did some calculations and figured out, well, if I opened all of these and I got a display cabinet, it would actually take up less space. So I could put a cabinet there. I could get all the figures out of the boxes, get them in the cabinet. They would actually be on display instead of just a pile of boxes. The boxes could all go in the garage, the empty boxes. And I would even have some extra space left over. So that I went to IKEA. I got a bunch of furniture. I did that a couple of weeks ago. And I got enough space for maybe another 100, 6-inch figures that could go in that display case. So I feel like
Oh,
it's
nice.
bought me some more time, but then eventually that's going to
6
be
inches
full.
best for me.
And then it's like, now what's next? Yeah. We made that joke earlier in the show while you weren't.
Yeah, we did that one already. Yeah, you were still asleep.
I'm a working
Chris.
man, all right? Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of it. Yeah. Igniting the midnight petroleum. So real quick before we hit the old dusty trail, does anybody have anything they want to show off real quick? Any show and tell?
You
any
know
toy roundup you want to do? What you got?
Well, I just got, because I'm into Marvel Legends right now, I just got this super badass Cosmic Ghost Rider. Yeah, it's
Holy cow.
freaking sick.
Nice.
Also, I've been reading
That's
a bunch
sweet.
of graphic novels lately, so I guess Cosmic Ghost Rider, if you're not familiar with him, he's actually the Punisher, Frank Castle, and he died, and then they brought him back as this Cosmic Ghost Rider. He was like working for Thanos at one point, and I think maybe Galactus also too. I don't know. He's got a lot of backstory, but basically, in one of the stories, he goes, because I think Thanos killed him or something like that. So when he comes back to life and he gets his powers, Odin gives him his powers back. He goes back in time to kill Thanos as a baby, and he ends up like taking care of him and kind of like raising him, because that's a really popular storyline right now where they have a little baby around. But I also got this Marvel Legends Corsair. This is
nice.
kind of like that ToyBoyz figure that they did, but it's, this is Havoc and Vulcan and Cyclops' dad from the Starjammers.
Yeah.
Pretty sick figure.
Yeah.
And I got this. This is a Walmart exclusive. I haven't opened it yet. It's Star-Lord at his original first appearance. So pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I still hate these boxes without the window, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going away
yet, but
they're definitely going away.
That's what I got.
Cool. Eric, you got anything you want to show off real quick? Anybody else? Jared?
Yeah, I got something.
Cool.
It's not open, but
oh snap! Holy cow!
The
so this is Eric flexing again.
Transformers masterpiece, Jetfire or Skyfire, as he was known in the cartoon. Again, it's huge. I'm like, where am I going to put it when I open it? So I haven't opened it yet. But look on the back here, it shows some pretty good details of.
That is pretty dope. Holy
There's
cow.
multiple faces and a bunch of accessories and all that. So it should be pretty nice.
Is that a masterpiece?
Very cool.
That's a masterpiece, right?
Yeah, the Japanese line. Sometimes I get them from Amazon Japan, actually, because it will end up being cheaper.
Jared, do you have a show and tell?
Yeah.
Jared, you got anything?
I do, actually.
Chris was shaming you last time. Oh, snap. Chris has something. Or Jared's got something.
I was looking at my stuff earlier and I thought, oh, well, this is sort of interesting for our viewers, our millions of viewers. So I have 2 Star Trek Generations figures,
Nice.
Data and Picard. But the interesting thing about these is if you look closely, these are not screen accurate uniforms. They got overzealous. Playmates got overzealous and produced the figures before they finalized the uniform design, because during that time, TNG had just ended. Deep Space Nine was running with a different uniform style, and they had yet to decide if they wanted to go with the DS9 uniform style or this new redesigned one. And Playmates went ahead and pulled the trigger on the new redesign, and they went with the DS9 one. So it is not screen accurate, so I thought that's sort of interesting.
That is actually pretty cool. So there's a YouTube video out there that actually shows Geordi wearing that uniform in a scene where he's being tortured by Soren. Yeah, so you can actually see him wearing that uniform. So, and it's not a great quality, but you can still see kind of what it looked like. They were trying to. It was a new uniform based off of the old school Monster Maroon from the Star Trek, 2 through Wrath of Khan that you see all through Star Trek 6 or whatever. It's a cool design, but yeah, no, that. I always thought that was interesting. I remember buying them as a kid and being like, "Why are these uniforms wrong?" The problem was that poor Playmates, the figures got rushed, like from so they were just trying to put. That's why there's actually barely any articulation. Like there's no articulation in the elbows or in the knees because the toys got rushed. So that's just kind of an unfortunate thing. But it is cool to see like what might have been like with the uniform. So that's actually a really great share, especially for a bunch of Star Trek nerds like us. Speaking of Star Trek nerds, I busted out because the story behind this is just horrendous. I busted out my X06 motion picture Captain Kirk here. Just real quick, I had originally, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to get X06. These guys are kind of expensive. And then I did anyway because I was lying to myself. And I missed the Kirk pre-order the first time around. And then it came around again and they put them up. I didn't get it. I didn't get it a third. And then finally I got one. And it got here a couple weeks ago. I was super happy about that. That's my show and tell for today. I think Avery's hanging out in the hotel room right now, so I doubt he's got anything he can really show off. But I mean, and that's about all the time we have today anyway. So on behalf of Avery, Chris, Eric, Jared, and myself, thanks for joining us. Make sure to check us out on the ToyBoyz podcast on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also listen to us wherever you find your podcasts. ToyBoyz, disassemble.
See you, everybody.
Pew, 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 pew.
Jared, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. I guess you're muted. I think your wife muted you. I don't know if you saw that in the chat. So we'll try again.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
All right, cool. There we go. There's Jared.